Hello and thanks for joining us for our mid-morning edition of Arirang News. I'm Mark Broom. Let's start by taking a look at the day's headlines. US President Donald Trump reveals he got a great letter from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Trump says good things are happening and they will likely hold a second summit. Ushering in the new year, President Jae-in reiterates his administration's resolve to make South Korea a country where everyone has the chance to succeed and live a comfortable life. Plus, alarm bells ringing in Taiwan as Chinese President Xi Jinping urges the island to embrace a peaceful reunification with China, saying Beijing considers reunification through force an option. It is a new year and perhaps the start of a rekindling of warmer ties between North Korea and the United States. US President Donald Trump has revealed he has received another letter from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Trump also reiterated that a second summit could be on the cards sooner rather than later. Lee Seung-jae starts us off.
Speaking to reporters at the White House on Wednesday, President Trump said he received what he called a great letter from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, adding the leaders will likely have another summit soon.
I just got a great letter from Kim Jong-un, and those few people that I've shown this letter to, they've never written letters like that. This letter is a great letter. We've made a lot of progress with North Korea and Kim Jong-un. Chairman Kim has been, we've really established a very good relationship. A lot of good things are happening.
While it wasn't clear when President Trump received the letter, a South Korean newspaper reports it was delivered to the White House last Friday. The North Korean leader said during his New Year's address on Tuesday that he's ready for a second summit with President Trump at any time and is committed to complete denuclearization. But Kim also warned the North may be compelled to find a new way to defend its interests if the U.S. continues with its sanctions on the regime. Responding to Kim's speech, President Trump took to Twitter to say he also looks forward to meeting Chairman Kim, who he says realizes so well that North Korea possesses great economic potential. President Trump also gave himself and his administration a pat on the back, saying a big war has been avoided thanks to improved relations with North Korea, something others have not acknowledged.
We're given no credit for it. You know, frankly, if this administration didn't take place, if another administration came in instead of this administration, namely Mike and myself and the group around this table, you'd be at war right now. You'd be having a nice big fat war in Asia.
While denuclearization talks have stalled in recent months, with the latest exchange of pleasantries between the two leaders, hopes are rising that a second Kim-Trump summit will be arranged soon. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Last year, the UN Security Council's Committee on North Korea Sanctions approved a total of 17 sanctions waivers. Voice of America reported Wednesday, citing a report written by a committee official from the Netherlands, that 15 of the waivers were granted pursuant to a rule passed by the Security Council allowing exemptions for organizations providing humanitarian assistance to the North Korean people. The committee didn't specify which countries or organizations got the waivers. One was granted recently, and it was so the two Koreas could inspect their railways together. As of Wednesday, sanctions apply to 80 individuals and 75 organizations. President Moon Jae-in has moved to reassure the public here in South Korea that his administration is dedicated to improving the economy and eliminating inequality. Giving a New Year's address on Wednesday, the South Korean leader also pledged to continue denuclearization and peace efforts. Our presidential office correspondent Shin Se-min has this report.
President Moon Jae-in's proposal for the brand new year of 2019 is to build a nation in which everyone can prosper together. In his New Year speech, President Moon urged the creation of a new economic model for South Korea, saying the country's economy right now faces the challenge of persistently slow growth. His plan for the coming 12 months is to improve the lives of the people across the board.
2019년은 정책의 성과들을 국민들께서 삶 속에서 확실히 체감할 수 있도록 최선을 다하겠습니다. 국민의 삶이 고르게 나아지고 불평등을 넘어 함께 잘 사는 사회로 가는 첫 해로 만들어 보겠습니다.
The president said he will call for interested parties to make compromises and concessions so that economic growth can be felt by everyone, something he said will require patience. On the issue of job creation, the president also promised to build 30,000 smart factories and to create a regulatory sandbox for new businesses in the IT and communication sectors. On his drive for ultimate peace, the president promised to do even more and to cement the gains already made.
지금 우리가 누리는 평화는 아직까지는 잠정적인 평화입니다. 새해에는 평화의 흐름이 되돌릴 수 없는 큰 물결이 되도록 최선을 다하겠습니다.
He said through the ultimate denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, the country can open up an era of peace and prosperity. Looking ahead, President Moon said peace on the Korean Peninsula will connect countries to the north and south of the nation, including countries like Russia, China, and Southeast Asia, ultimately creating an era in which peace in the region gives the economy another push. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Blue House officials are going to meet with some of the country's top business leaders today in a follow-up to their closed-door meeting late last year. The Blue House spokesperson said on Thursday that the presidential chief of staff for economic policy, Kim Soo-hyun, will meet with several corporate leaders over lunch in an effort to boost the slowing economy and gain better cooperation with the corporate sector. The list of participants for the lunch has not been disclosed, but the spokesperson did confirm the executives of Samsung Group, LG and SK met with the chief policy advisor and the vice chief of the National Economic Advisory Council, Kim Kwang-do, for a breakfast last year. South Korea's defense ministry has expressed its deep dismay over Japan's repeated lopsided claims about a recent military radar incident. It comes despite last week's agreement to continue working-level consultations on the matter. The ministry reiterated the South Korean naval ship did not lock its fire control radar on a Japanese patrol aircraft. It urged Japan to stop distorting facts and asked for Tokyo to apologize over the aggressive low-altitude flight as shown in a video that was released. It was a sudden and threatening move against a South Korean destroyer focused on rescue operations of a distressed ship in international waters. The ministry also asked Tokyo to continue working-level talks on the matter. Now, alarm bells are ringing in Taiwan. Chinese President Xi Jinping says the island's reunification with China will happen at some point, warning Beijing reserves the right to use force to accomplish its goal if necessary. For more on this and other news from around the world, let's turn to our No Aram. Aram, this is an extremely strong warning from the Chinese leader so early in the new year.
That's right, Mark. The Chinese leader has stepped up pressure on Taiwan since a pro-independence politician became president of the democratically governed island. His latest remarks on Wednesday came on the 40th anniversary of the start of improved ties between the two nations. He said peaceful reunification was the ultimate goal, but warned Beijing wasn't afraid to use force if necessary. He added that Taiwan's independence would lead to disaster.
The vast majority of Taiwan compatriots, regardless of what political parties, religions, or social classes they're in, or whether they're soldiers or civilians, or what region they're in, should be clearly aware that Taiwan independence can only lead Taiwan to a grave disaster.
He also warned that foreigners should not interfere in the matter of Taiwanese independence.
The Taiwan question is part of China's internal affairs that concerns the core interests of China. and the national feelings of the Chinese people. It brooks no interference from outside.
Meanwhile, Taiwanese leader Tsai Ing-wen rejected Xi's comments.
I hereby reiterate that Taiwan will definitely not accept one country, two systems. China should not try to make Taiwanese people succumb to them with repression and threats.
Beijing still sees Taiwan as part of China's sovereign territory despite the island's breakaway from the mainland at the end of the Chinese Civil War in 1949. However, Taiwan considers itself a sovereign state with its own democratic political system. In other news, US President Donald Trump has fired back at Mitt Romney after the fellow Republican issued a stinging attack on the president. Romney wrote in a Washington Post op-ed published Tuesday that Trump had, quote, not risen to the mantle of the office and that he had caused dismay around the world. At a White House cabinet meeting on Wednesday, President Trump said he hoped the incoming Utah senator would be a team player.
So with Mitt Romney, I'd love him to be a team player. Possibly he won't be. I'm surprised he acted so quickly. I gave him an endorsement. I was happy that he won. In Utah, I have great popularity in Utah. I love the people of Utah.
Shortly before his meeting, Trump took to Twitter to mock Romney for his failed 2012 White House bid. The timing of Romney's article just 2 days before he's sworn in as Utah Senator has prompted some to speculate he may challenge Trump for the 2020 Republican presidential nomination. FIFA is mulling the possibility of raising the number of teams from the 2022 World Cup, while FIFA voted in 2017 to do so from the year 2026. The head of the football's global governing body has suggested bringing the change forward by 4 years. Kim Yo-san reports.
FIFA is considering expanding the size of the next World Cup to 48 from 32 teams. Speaking at an international sports conference on Wednesday, the president of FIFA said the majority of national federations favor the idea.
So if we think it's a good thing to have 48 teams in the World Cup, and we'll have it for 26, why shouldn't we try to have it already 4 years before? It's never too late to do something good, right? And that's why we are analyzing whether it's possible to have 48 teams already in 2022.
Soccer's global governing body already voted in 2017 to increase the size of the tournament to 48 teams from 2026, but FIFA is mulling the possibility of introducing the change from the Qatar World Cup in 2022. Infantino also raised the possibility of Qatar sharing the tournament with neighboring countries.
If we can maybe convince some of the neighboring countries in the Gulf region, which are very close by, to host maybe a few games of this World Cup, well, this could certainly be very beneficial for the region, but for the entire world.
The plan to expand the number of participating teams could give China a chance to qualify for the international tournament, thereby enabling Chinese firms to invest in World Cup marketing. Kim Yo-san, Arirang News.
Now, one New Yorker has got off to a very lucky start to 2019, winning the Mega Millions lottery drawn on New Year's Day. That person is now an estimated $425 million richer, or the equivalent cash option of about $260 million. The New Year's Day Mega Millions jackpot is the 8th largest in its history. The winning ticket was sold at Brookville Auto Service in Glen Head. Meanwhile, players in Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina and Texas also picked up winnings between $1 and $4 million.
Well, thank you as always to Arirang for the world news there. Now, the former senior presidential secretary for civil affairs under the former Park Geun-hye administration was released from jail at the stroke of midnight as a local court did not issue another detention warrant. Woo Byung-woo, who has been behind bars since December 2017, was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison over his connection to a massive influence peddling case involving ex-President Park. He was also sentenced to another 18 months last month for illegally surveilling public officials and private citizens through the intelligence agency. Now Woo will face that appeal trial without detention. A South Korean tourist is in critical condition after falling several meters from the Grand Canyon over the weekend. The tourist, who has only been identified as someone in their 30s with the family name Park, was traveling on a group tour. The person slipped in the south rim of the canyon and was swiftly transferred to hospital. Officials say the tourist has brain injuries and a number of broken bones. Now, those of us in South Korea will experience several changes this year, some good, some bad, depending on how you look at it. For starters, public transportation fees, that includes buses, subways and taxis, they're all going to rise nationwide. Good news for the environment because plastic bags will no longer be given out at large supermarkets. Yoon Jung-min has this report.
Public transportation fares in South Korea are rising with the start of the new year. At the stroke of midnight on Tuesday, basic taxi fares in the cities of Daejeon and Ulsan went up from around $2.50 to $2.95. Fares in the southwestern city of Gwangju will also rise later in January, while the capital Seoul will see fares rise either late this month or in early February by about 70 cents to $3.39. Fares are also going to rise for buses, including long-distance, local, and those in between. Exactly how much they'll rise hasn't been decided yet, but it's expected they'll go up by as much as 10% to adjust for inflation. Higher transportation costs are likely to raise overall consumer prices and will especially affect people in the lower income brackets. There are other new rules too that'll affect people's daily lives. Starting New Year's Day, plastic bags cannot be sold or given to customers in supermarkets bigger than 165 square meters. Shoppers are advised to carry their own reusable or paper bags instead. There will also be tax benefits for drivers who replace their old diesel cars. For cars registered before 2008, the government will reduce consumption taxes by 70% if the owner buys a new car and scraps the old one. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
Now, newly released government data shows online sales in South Korea made up more than a fifth of all retail sales in November 2018. That is the highest proportion of online sales since related figures were first compiled in 2001, so some 17 or 18 years ago. Go Ryun-hee reports.
Online shopping keeps growing and growing. According to Statistics Korea on Wednesday, e-commerce goods sales made up 20.5% of the total retail sales in South Korea in November. The data does not include online transactions for services. Statistics Korea said the increasing popularity and development of mobile payment platforms such as Kakao Pay is behind the trend, along with cheaper prices and the ease of comparing prices online. This percentage is higher than in other major countries like the U.S., where, according to the U.S. Department of Commerce, combined online sales of goods and services accounted for less than 10% of total retail sales in the third quarter of 2018. The total value of online purchases also hit an all-time high in November. Data shows the total online transactions in November had a value of $9.5 billion, up 22.1% on year. This was mainly due to many Korean companies participating in events similar to Black Friday in the U.S. and China's annual Singles' Day sales event during the month. Major online malls offered their biggest discounts in November to compete with foreign companies. Breaking it down by item, transactions in electronics and home appliances jumped by almost 30% on year. Statistics Korea said more people purchase electronic products related to fine dust, such as air purifiers. Transactions in the food and beverage category also increased by more than 30%, as many one-person households bought instant meals online. Purchases made through mobile devices such as smartphones also jumped 28% on year. Koruni, Arirang News.
Now, it's known to be extremely hard to get into, but South Korea's Air Force has selected its first ever female test pilot. She is Captain Jung Da-jung, and she is making history by taking on this challenging but highly rewarding role. Our Park Ji-won was lucky enough to go and meet her and files this report.
South Korea's first female Air Force test pilot started her 46-week training earlier Wednesday, the second day of this new year. The Republic of Korea Air Force announced Captain Jung Da-jung has been selected as one of this year's 3 new test pilots, along with Captain Lee Chol-soo and Captain Woo Byung-woo. Their training, almost a year long, started at the 281st Flight Test Squadron located in the southeastern city of Sacheon in Gyeongsang-namdo Province. She entered the Air Force Academy back in 2005 and has been serving as a KF-16 jet fighter pilot, clocking up about 1,000 flight hours so far.
I started dreaming of becoming an Air Force test pilot because I wanted to be the first to examine a wide range of aircraft equipment. I will do my best to live up to the title of first female test pilot and will help my fellow fighter pilots who conduct military operations.
After her training, Jung is expected to conduct various kinds of testing missions, including the development of the South Korean-made KF-X, which the military aims to complete sometime around 2022 or later. Since 1990, the nation's Air Force has selected 42 test pilots, all males, after a rigorous selection process because their job of testing the safety of newly developed aircraft is more dangerous than flying regular fighter jets. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Good morning. After nearly a week of sub-zero daily temperatures here in Seoul, we'll see positive readings today, reaching up to 2 degrees Celsius, and we could notice much more bearable temperatures for the next 2 days. But mild temperatures could mean another round of polluted air. Central parts of the country will see relatively poor air, while the Chungcheongdo provinces could see bad air all day today. So do check the dust levels before heading out today. And tomorrow is forecast to be quite dusty all day. Meanwhile, dry weather continues to grip most of the country. Seoul has been under dry weather alerts for 6 days in a row, 9 days for mountainous regions in Gangwon province. So let's all be careful not to do anything that could cause a fire. Temperature fluctuations and dry air are causing many people to catch colds and flu. And flu levels in the country are very high. And washing your hands is the most effective measure to prevent catching the virus. Daily highs will be similar or a tad higher than yesterday, getting up to 2 degrees Celsius here in the capital and over in Chuncheon. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
Well, that's all we have for now on this Thursday morning here in Seoul. Do stay tuned to us here on Arirang TV. And a reminder that we'll have our next newscast coming up at noon Korea time in around an hour and a half from now. So until then, goodbye.
취업해서 해외여행도 가고 싶고 부모님한테 선물도 드리고 싶어요.
I really hope to foster some more relationships, make some more friends and enjoy the year.
제가 주변 사람들에게 주변 사람들이 저에게 서로 다 따뜻한 사람이면 좋겠어서
삶에서 지치고 배제당하고 이런 경험 없는 2019년이 됐으면 좋겠고 그런 사회가 됐으면 좋겠어요.
환경 관련 정책 같은 게 좀 개선이 돼서 미세먼지라든지 여러 환경 문제가 해결됐으면 좋겠습니다.
경제도 많이 좋아져서 청년들이 많이 일자리를 찾고 행복하게 살았으면 하는 바람입니다.
대한민국 경제 성장도 됐으면 좋겠고 그냥 저뿐만 아니라 대한민국 모두 다 터닝포인트가 됐으면 좋겠네.
남북 드디어 종전선언 협상 이런 타이틀이면 좋겠네요.
Peaceful world.
작을지 모르지만 그 따뜻하고 훈훈한 이야기들도 많이 있거든요. 그래서 뉴스에서 그런 이야기들이 조금 많이 들렸으면 좋겠고
함께하는 가족이랑 행복했으면 좋겠고 친구들은 계속 편하게 같이 어울려서 술 한잔 잘 먹을 수 있는 마음 편하게 살았으면 좋겠습니다.
2019년은 더 가까이.
Literally speaking, a piece of poetry brought in by a wave. A word. I am on the road in search of the most beautiful word on earth. Some say it's life. Some say it's love. Sometimes there are many roads. Sometimes a road does not exist.